At the end of the day, your words get missed. It's how they feel while you're talking. So that means you need to be you. I can't pretend to be George, and George can't pretend to be Alan, whether it's video or speaking or not.
Welcome to the podcast about communication in business. I'm your host, George Torok. Did you know that I'm known as the speech coach for executives? That's because I help business leaders deliver the intended message for greater success. And we do that through one-on-one coaching or group training for the team. On this podcast, you will hear from communication experts from around the world with their advice and insights to help you deliver your intended message. My guest today is Alan McClaren. Here's 3 facts that I think you should know about him. 1, he says the world does not need more curated leaders. Authentic personal branding is what we have taught over 600 leaders. 2, opportunities can be seen when you are out there. Otherwise, they don't exist in your reality. Scaling trust is the game to attract those opportunities. Got you intrigued yet? And 3, he discovered his passion for this business by accident, like everything else in life, right? Alan McClaren, welcome to Your Intended Message.
Thank you, George. It's always a pleasure to be with you, sir.
And it's curious how actually accidents do help set the course of our life at many key points. No question there. And Alan, what was the accident that triggered you to co-found Strata Originals?
Well, there's 2 accidents there. So there's 2 questions, my passion and the accident. So, George, as you know, Leanne and I have had a marketing agency for 18 years. And so and we've been doing some work with, helping people write speeches and, just kind of helping them round out what thought leadership was all about during the 18 years. But, COVID happened, and COVID impacted a lot of people in a lot of ways. And if you look for the negative, there's plenty of negative. But if you look for the positive, there are some positives that come out of COVID too. And we had a positive. We were learning that our business model was going to be taken over by AI as marketers. And, people could do Facebook ads and YouTube ads pretty easily today by just learning. And so we said, okay, we got to look for something else. And so we looked inside and said, what's out there that's not being productized? And that's personal branding. People couldn't buy the services of personal branding. They'd buy an agent or a PR company or whatever. So we said, let's develop that and test it. We did that for a year inside Infinity. And then we said, we have something cool here. And that's where Strata Originals was born from that pivot. And now this is all we're doing. And I'll tell you about my passion as well, how it was discovered. But that was the accident that's turned us on our head. And now we're just having a blast.
And it's always positive news to hear how a negative event could result in something positive and actually not only positive, but gave you more energy to move forward. And the passion that is driving you right now, what is that?
Well, what happened was we thought originally, we're experts in marketing, we're experts in content. It would make sense if we just change our customer to the CEO, and that becomes personal branding, with the subtleties of personal branding. What I discovered and what Leanne and I discovered is we do something called a brand DNA, which is the first step in helping a CEO figure out what their clarity is, what their gifts are, things of that nature. People were transforming, CEOs were transforming in that exercise. They were going from fear of being out there to actually recognizing that they could overcome something. And that just changed it for me because it wasn't about content. It was about people. It was about turning people from fear to success and triumph. And George, in your world, you've dealt with people like that before, terrified to do a speaking gig. And yet at the end, they do something and they succeed. And now you can't stop them. So in your world, we're combined in that way, but we work with them and then they just get to places. And now we get to do it at scale. Just the coolest thing in the world.
And you're right, Alan. It is a tremendous feeling when you see a person that you help go through that transformation, when they go through from being afraid and awkward and clumsy to actually feeling confident, exuding confident, and performing magnificently. It is a fabulous thrill. That's worth it in itself, no question. And Alan, first time you went through this exercise with one of your clients, or maybe early on, maybe not the first one, but at some point, what went through your mind that went, I finally got it. I know what I need to do.
That's a really good question, George. I think it's when one of our clients said to us, "Thank you for changing my life." Now, that's a pretty big one. So we clarified and said, wait a minute, we're doing personal branding. We're not saving the planet. Her response was, "I now see myself the way you do." And when you think about that, nobody looks at themselves, right? You've heard the saying, you can't see the label from inside the jar. Well, it's the same with personal branding. Like, George, you have a gift. I have a gift. Do we know what it is? Maybe you and I may know, maybe we don't, but most people don't. Or most people don't even know why, we call them an original. Why do we say that? We're going to get into that a little bit later. That's the part that, it just charges us. I get goosebumps right now thinking about that moment, because that's transformation at its best. When someone is seeing themselves in a different way. We just did a brand DNA for a client in Ireland, and we presented it back to her, and she says, "I never looked at myself that way." Whoa! So that's the stuff that goes on in our work. That's why it's so much more than, a LinkedIn post or a video. It's people transforming and doing amazing things. That's why it's so exciting for us.
Alan, so what's the process that you take people through?
So the first one, the step one, is a brand DNA. To simplify that, it's a clarity session. We have about 40 questions that we've curated. We don't ask them all. Depends on, I could ask one question and they can answer 9 of them. We do it in certain categories to be able to extract what their gifts are. So what their credibility is, and that number one thing is, what are you known for? Like if I were to ask about you, George, and ask somebody else, what about George Torok? What do you know about George? They would describe you. They'd give you some attributes, and they'd say he's an expert at X, Y, Z. So that's what you're known as. So that means you couldn't necessarily be an expert in sleep. Right? You might have opinions on sleep, but you're not an expert in sleep. So people wouldn't look to you for sleep, but they would look to you for an expert in helping people go on stages and perform in a big way. Then the second part is their perspectives are unique to them. So credibility, what they're known for, their perspectives. And this is where the originals come in. You are the only human being on the planet that's ever gone through your experiences. It's it. No one else. You could have grown up next to somebody in your hometown, gone to the same schools, played the same sports, and have different perspectives because of your family, your education, the things you learned, the thing you're interested in. They all shape who you are. We help them uncover that. And that gets resulted in, now I know what I should talk about, which is step 2. So brand DNA, step 1. Step 2, what's the content that I want to take out onto the internet? And that's LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it happens to be. And that we kind of set them up in such a way and say, we want you to do video. And then they ask us, well, why video? Video is very painful. Well, because what we're doing today is the most authentic medium possible. You're going to like me or you're not going to like me. But you're not going to interpret my words, because my words are my words. My face is my face. My hands are my hands. It's real. You like it, you don't like it. It's authentic. Words can be interpreted. We're not saying don't write, but we're saying add video so that they can spend time with you when you're not around. And that's a very important thing. So that's step 2, George. Step 3 is actually creating the content. And we recommend people batch their content, because what we do know from the way the brain works is if I said you do 1 video a week and you did 1 video a week, it would take you some time to get it done. But if I said do 6 videos in a setting, your brain kicks in and does it really well. Then go on to social media, post it, engage, and then just keep doing the same cycle every quarter. And those are the steps to that, to getting yourself out there.
And Alan, what you mentioned about perspective being unique for each person resonated with me, because there are many of us in whatever field we are in. We all have competition, and the competition could be as good, reasonably good, or in the same, but the real difference is the perspective, our unique perspective that makes us different. That's what makes us perhaps an original.
So let me ask you this question, George. In your world, there are 10,000 coaches that are speakers. What's your perspective on people getting out there? Is there a certain thing that you have that you believe is different than others?
And, Alan, I appreciate that because no one's ever asked me that question. And so I'm not surprised that you did. I see people as imperfect individuals, and that's okay.
Present company accept. Come on.
And I tell them, hey, I'm not going to make you perfect. You're not going to deliver a perfect presentation. It doesn't exist, never happened. I've never done it. Been pretty good, but never perfect. So don't try to be perfect. Be you, but be the best you can. And think about the message that you are conveying and look at the whole picture, not just the words, as you pointed out. And the words are important, no question. However, we take in the whole message. And is that the one that you want people to get? And and I like to think that, Alan, I bring a sense of humor and sometimes directness that a little tough on some people.
But you see, here's the thing. I always call it the velvet hammer, right? We do the same thing with video work. If I'm recording a video with a client and they go, that was great. And I'm going, well, let's examine what we said we were going to do before and and then you have that conversation. And then every once in a while, you got to tell them, we got to do this again. Why? You're authentic. You didn't come out. It's the same in a talk, right? It's no different in a talk that at the end of the day, your words get missed. It's how they feel while you're talking. So that means you need to be you. I can't pretend to be George, and George can't pretend to be Alan, whether it's video or speaking or not. So I'm right now using my hands. Have you taught me to use my hands? I'm using my hands because it's my natural way of speaking. I don't fake it. I don't go, oh, Toastmasters, it's time to use my hand. I'm now saying that's not authentic. That's not real. That's what we want, real people. And your perspective on that is, yeah, let's get to your best. That's what you've just shared. That's a unique perspective for others who say, let's make sure you're curated and perfect. That's not what humans are. We're not that way. So that's where your and my worlds come together.
And Alan, what's your unique perspective?
I actually believe that leaders have a responsibility to be out there. Why do I believe that? Well, they've reached a level of, through mostly competence, that's it. And sometimes you could argue the Peter Principle and all kinds of other stuff and Silver Spoon and all those other things. But for the most part, leaders rise up in corporations or as entrepreneurs and are out there. And I think it's their responsibility to teach others what they've learned. It is not only a positive karma thing, if you want to put it out there, but it is the return for that is tenfold. When you put yourself out there and say, I would love to teach you what I know. And here's the dichotomy, George. If I were counseling you, I would go on and say, I want you to teach everybody everything you know about speaking. Everything. From how to use your hands and how to use your tonality, how to use your voice, how to use your eyes, how to use your as you're doing everything. People say, well, but that's giving away my IP. No, it's not. Those people aren't your customers anyway who take it for free. The ones who need it are the ones who want to get better and want someone to coach them on their tongue, right? So my perspective is similar to yours. I want people out there telling their stories. And I'll give you a quick story. I had a gentleman in LA that he attended one of our workshops and he said, this is great, but he says, I can't go out there because the people around me think it's cringy to get out there on my personal brand. And I just don't want to do it. I said, Keith, dude, you can do whatever you want. Nothing's going to change in your life if you don't do it, but nothing's going to change in your life if you don't do it. Very important. And so 6-8 months go by, I start to see him starting to post about AI. He's getting 30, 40 comments, 12 likes, engagement. And I emailed him and I said, what happened? He says, you were right. It's a very safe place to do when you're out there giving of yourself. When you're teaching people what you know in a way that you're not expecting anything in return, that's what happens. I said, yeah, that's what we teach. That's what you're doing. And now you're seeing the benefits of it. And he goes, yeah, you were right. I was just not ready. And now I see the difference. That's kind of fun.
And Alan, I want to reinforce your point about that leaders have a responsibility to teach others. And that's not something that we're taught. in school or as we go through the education process. And even when we're hired, we're not taught that. We're just taught, to do your work, get done, get the promotion. One day you'll get to be the boss in this office. One day.
One day.
For what point?
Exactly. But think about this too, George. If you're a leader and you're out there, so what are the benefits of that? So let's say my goal in personal branding, we have two goals. One is to evangelize what this is, so they know it's not cringy, right? Number two is, oh, by the way, look at this. So Harvard Business Review said they put a whole episode together on personal branding. So it's that I'm talking about it, but they're talking about it. So that means it's kind of hot right now, right? But the benefits are, okay, if I give stuff away, that's good, but will it actually do something for me? Yeah. You'll generate leads, you'll generate opportunities, you'll generate partnerships, you'll generate new podcasts, you'll generate speaking gigs. Your employees will see it. You want to raise money? Is it easier to raise money when you're known or unknown?
When you're known, for sure.
You're known because people go, oh, let me go check him out. Oh, he hasn't done a post anywhere. I don't even know if he exists. Because people check you out all the time. And if you don't exist, guess what? You don't exist. It's like that, one of the facts that you said, the opportunities, it's like if a tree fell in the forest, does it really make a sound? Well, if you're not on digital, you're not making any sounds. No one's going to connect with you because no one knows who you are. But things can happen when you're out there. And that's the fun part. I get leads. I got a lead from Cyprus the other day. I got a lead from New York where I closed a speaking gig. Like, I didn't know these people. They showed up. And they showed up because they were spending time with my videos. I don't know them. They're on my LinkedIn and going, hey, I like this guy. And then they say, can you help me with my personal brand? Sure, of course. Now they're coming to me. I've already built trust with them. I've never met them. Now I got to see, are these the right people to work with us? But boy, I've never been able to do that in my life. How could you do that at scale? Now you can do it at scale.
And Alan, I'm going to reinforce the point that you made there about they spend time with your videos. And when they spend time with your videos, it's like they're with you. Yeah. And therefore, they get to know you and decide if they like you and find you credible.
You've nailed it, right? And how can you do that in any other medium? You go to do a speaking gig. So let's use your world as an example. You may have 100 people in the room. And if you do a great job, you've impacted 100 people. And maybe 10 people follow up with you and good things can happen. That's fantastic. And continue to do that. Continue to do podcasts. I get 1,000 people a day watching my stuff times 365 days. Do the math with me. How many people are seeing my stuff? So just the sheer numbers alone tell you that if you do all three of those, podcasts like you and I are doing, speaking gigs, which is a different type of connection, right? Can't do the same thing on video. And then video at scale. Is there anything better to spread your message, your intended message, to use your name? All right. But that's your intent, right? Your intent is to spread your message to the world. These are mediums to do that. And that's why we love video, is because of your point. If they're spending time with you, they're going to like you, not like you, but at least they know you. And not going to buy from you until they know you, especially in our world. We're not the most inexpensive in the world. So they're going to only give us their time and their energy and their money if they believe that we can be helpful. And, our gray hair is there for a reason. We've learned some things over time, and we know how to work with CEOs and entrepreneurs.
Many people are reluctant to appear on video, and many, when they do, don't come across well. How do you help them get past those two obstacles? One, do I have to do this? Oh, darn, I got to go comb my hair, brush my teeth. And
shave.
Yeah.
I shaved for you, George. I shaved.
Yeah, I did. I was thinking, do I need to shave today? I'll be talking to Alan. I got to shave, got to look my best, or, the best, whatever I can. So how do you get people past that first step? One, to go on video, and two, to actually come across better?
So the first part is the coaching and holding their hand and letting them realize that, nobody cares that much about you. Let's be honest. No one's going to look at you and go, oh, look at George. He did that video. It was horrible. If your intent was to give, no one's going to they'll work with you. As I'm sure you've seen in your world, someone who's a new speaker in a corporation that's tried that first time, maybe they're a 7 out of 10 the first time, maybe a 6 out of 10. But it's like anything else, a skill is something you develop. Video is a skill you develop. So we practice and we hold their hand and nothing gets posted until we're happy. We just went through a session with a guy on Friday. He did a good job, but his technology sucked. We said, we're not using that because your sound was off of your mouth because of your Wi-Fi. So we're going to do that again on another day because the best of you has to be out there. So we start with that. Number 2 is we let them practice. Practice on this little device, record it, and then don't post it. Then record it again, then don't post it. And the style is really simple. You know, you and I, we're having this, we've known each other for a long time. If we were in a coffee shop, it would be not a different conversation. We're not performing. I'm not performing for your group. You're not performing for my group. We're just talking and we're sharing insights. That's what we get people to realize. You're in a coffee shop, you're having a glass of wine, a customer has asked you a question. You're answering it. That's how you do it on video. So it doesn't come across as, I need to think of these 3 points and I need to have a hook. And I need to have it. No, tell a story. Tell a story. Make sure, you introduce the video so they know what you're talking about. That's called a hook. But we get them out of their head, into their heart, and then I'm telling you, the second time they record, they're smart people. They learn the skill, they practice the skill, they get to coaching, and on the other side of that, some are always better than others, just natural, as you described perfectly the other day. So we get there and make them the best that they are capable of being, very much like what you do in your speaking world. So that's how we help them out.
And Alan, it's not often that I go to my coffee shop for a glass of wine, but I look forward to that when we meet.
That's a coffee wine bar. You never heard of those before?
No, clearly you hang in different crowds than I do. And another good point there is not every video needs to be published. You can shoot it again.
I had one the other day. The fun part about having this skill, which I had to learn, is I was talking to a coach. And the coach was saying to me, I'm an introvert and I'm really good at talking to people, but I don't want to be out there. And I said, dude, stop hiding behind the logo. You're hiding behind your logo. No one can see you from back there. And it prompted me to do a video. So I hung up with him. I pointed the phone at my face and I spoke for 2 minutes and I posted the video within 10 minutes. Well, isn't that empowering? I don't have to go to an editing company. I have to go wait till the lights are perfect. No, I had an idea. I have the skill now to be able to record a video in one shot, push a button, get it on LinkedIn right away, and tell a story. I responded to a customer who asked a question about what's the difference between, being my business is doing branding and I'm doing branding. How do we combine it? I did a video and I responded to his comment as a video because it was too long to write it. And he came back to me. He could have called me, but that's in a public forum so more people can learn. So that's the magic, is this video is so much more than content alone. It's communication, right? That's your world, right? Your intended message is a reason that you call it that. So our intent is to authenticate or have authentic communication in every opportunity you have. And we think the video is the best way to do that.
Does a person write the script and then deliver it, or do they make some notes and play with it?
No scripts, 0 scripts. That's when they get in their head. So what we say to them is this. We want you to say, okay, what's the topic? So let's pick a topic. Why is personal branding important? That's the topic. How do I want to start the video? Well, maybe I'll just ask the question. So oftentimes I'm asked, why is personal branding important? A lot of my friends think it's cringeworthy. That's my opening line. Let me tell you a story about Adrian, and then I tell a story. And at the end of the story, I may wrap up the lesson. So what Adrian taught us was, and then that's it. There's a video, done. So you plan 6 of those you just say, what's the lesson I want to leave them with? And what story do I want to tell to reinforce that point? That's it. Because when they start writing, if they do it for therapeutic reasons to get it out of their head, great. When you're coming to record with us and it's digital recording like this, I don't want your notes in front of you. I'm going to ask you a question just like that. And then when they get out of their head, then they have the power. That's why I'm able to, you ask me a question, let's record it. Great, good, because I've done 101, 102 videos. So I'm comfortable with the medium now. The first one wasn't as good as the 100th. It's life, right? But that's how we get them over that. And they do get over it. Sometimes it takes a month or two. Sometimes they get it in weeks. Everybody's a little different, but they do get over it.
The CEO of a company, their personal brand, is it about them, their business, their industry, their politics? Where do they go?
Not the politics part, because the politics and religion part, now, we could talk through that in a moment. I'll come back to that. I think it's important. It's all of the above, George, right? Because think about this. If you're a leader of a business today, ask yourself this: what's more trusted, a person or a business? So we all know the answer to that question. A person is more trusted than a business. So your business is going to do its marketing, and it should, right? All email marketing and advertising, all the things that you want to do. Imagine you're the CEO of this business. It could be 40 people, could be 1,000 people. And you're out there and you're passionate about homelessness. Nothing to do with your business, because maybe you're in IT security. But you're out there espousing the importance and the solutions to homelessness because it's a value and your company supports that, your people support it. You're talking about this. So you're saying, well, it's got nothing to do with my business, but it's you talking about something that's important that espouses your values. Your employees love that. And people say, oh, he's the CEO of Harvard. Oh, what a cool guy. They do what? And I'll give you a perfect example. I had a young man on WhatsApp. I was watching him. We're in a group together. I didn't know who he was. I just liked the way he was talking. And I went and connected with him on LinkedIn. I said, hey, Jacob, really like the way you talk on the WhatsApp. Let's connect here. That was it. He sees my title. My title says personal branding expert. He goes, oh, Alan, I see you're a personal branding expert. I wonder if you can help me out. I've been struggling with my personal brand for years. Now, was I talking to about anything I did? I just made a connection with an offer to share stuff together. And then I got a lead from that. Same thing happens in your business. Homelessness, nothing to do with what I do, but it's important to me. Then you can sprinkle in, okay, IT security, I wanted to help drive business for me. Great. You can start talking about IT security the way consultants do, not my stuff's better than your stuff. Hey, when you're thinking about IT security, here's some things that we think about when you're looking. How do you deal with your employees? You're doing it at a very macro level and never selling anything. Then people trust you, people like you, and then opportunities start showing up, like RFPs start showing up on your door, because I never heard of this company, but George was out there. That's the magic that we kind of help them pull together strategically on how they do their business branding and how they do their personal branding and how they come together. Because if they do both together well, they will blow the competition out of the water. The problem is corporations are afraid. They're just not doing it. And the ones that do are going to win, especially in the advent of AI, where everything is going to be automated. But humans we cannot be automated, you and me. Our heart cannot be automated. That's got to be something that's of the forefront.
And Alan, you just pointed out the importance that we are people, we are not robots, and that it's not just about the bottom line, and it's not about getting the lowest price for everything that we buy. Make sure you get a bid on this and get the lowest price. The lowest bidder wins every time. No, because we are looking for something in others that connects with us. So it might be the sports we support. It might be a charity. It could be health issues that we've had that we find out are in common. It could be that if you're a fellow motorcycle rider, well, right away we got a bond. And so we're looking for that connection so that we can justify, I like this person because...
Yeah, 100%. You talked about it earlier. You realize in personal branding, you have no competition. You do when you put your speaker coach on, but George is original. There is only one George. And maybe George isn't for you. Maybe it's Sally, maybe it's Brian, maybe it's somebody else. Because you may need, and that's an important thing, if you're going to need a right type of coach, what kind of coach do I need? Maybe I don't know. And that's what George will help you with as an example, right? We're not for everybody because not everybody can afford us. Great. Could they use us? Of course they could use us. But we had to make a determination on what value we want to deliver. But there is no competition for your personal brand. That is very unique. And you want, really? Yeah, because there's not another George in the world. 10,000 speaker coaches, not another George.
Now, another one would be too much for this planet.
Well, we will ask your wife about that.
Strata Originals.
Yeah.
I understand the word originals. Why strata?
Stratosphere, right? You start at a certain place and we want to get you up to the stratosphere as high as you want to go. And because it's a strata, to your point earlier, you're going to go where you go based on your time, effort, and money, right? Because we've had people, can you make me famous? I said, if famous is important to you, we can make you famous. It's $1 million to make you famous. Well, I don't want to be that famous. Because it's all time, energy, money. That's the formula, right? We have the expertise. So now let's work backwards to your objectives of what you're trying to achieve in the world. And that determines your strata, right? So one says, I want to be a consultant and a speaker in a year. Great. So we're going to build up to that goal. And then the next step is, I want to write a book. The next step is, great. We can try it all in one shot. Too hard to do. Or we can stratify your efforts to get you to a place that over time you reach your objectives. And that's why strata and originals come together. And we just talked about why defining originals. Because Dr. Seuss was right, George. Only you are you. Only you are you. And that's why you have no competition in the world.
Okay, and I thought it was all about green eggs and ham.
Well, that's another conversation.
And Alan, I know I mentioned two unmentionables, politics and religion, and you said you're going to comment on that.
Yeah, the question you always, with your personal brand, the question is always, is it serving you? So that's the first question. So in my world, I have a lot of opinions on politics and religion, and I don't post on it because it doesn't serve my objectives. I have a friend of mine that's an advocate. He helps people through some of these political and religious situations, so it serves him. When you do that, recognize that that's when you're going to bring out the trolls and you're going to bring out because, Dale Carnegie was right, find people that believe what you believe, and that's your tribe, right? And you're not going to convince somebody to move over. You look at anything in politics or religion, you're not converting somebody to move over to your side, even if you presented a logical argument, because facts don't really matter, right? They just don't matter. So the question is it advancing what you want people to know about you? And if the answer is yes, and you're prepared for the arrows, go for it. For me, it does not advance what I'm trying to do with my goals. So that's why I say stay away from it, because you see that even if you think you're 100% right, there's somebody on the other side. So you got to decide, is it worth the battle for you? And that's your decision. In our personal branding, we kind of lay out and say, these are the things that you should talk about based on what you're credible and what you care about. And if you care about what's happening in Israel, then you have a right to say that, recognizing there are people that will disagree with you, and then you can get into a whole side of that. And there's too many examples of that in the world, but so we just caution people to make sure it's serving them. And if it is, then we support it. If it's not, we counsel them on not doing it.
And that's true, Alan, of taking a position on any topic. There's going to be somebody who disagrees with you, and you can't take it personal, even if they make it personal.
Well, here's the fun part, George. We've done probably in the last 2 years over 1,000 videos for our clients. I want you to guess how many have had a negative comment.
Oh, I would think a lot have had a negative comment. Now, I wouldn't want to put a percentage, but I would guess a significant amount.
Yeah, well, the answer is 0.
Oh, wow. That surprises me.
You know why? Because as we said earlier, we talked about our process. If your process is about giving and giving of yourself, then how's someone going to disagree with a story that you own? I'm telling you a story about how I had to terminate 300 people in an organization that I was the CEO of. And here's how I did it, and here were the results. Now, someone could say, I would do it differently. That's not bad, but my story is my story. It's what happened. And the lessons that you glean from that story are the lessons that are coming from my perspective. So that's why it can't have a net. People go, you're an ass, you didn't do that right. How are you going to say that? It's what happened. So that's why you're always safe when you're telling a story that you own and you can validate, because that's your credibility. That's why we have not one negative comment, which is so cool when you really think about it.
And I'm going to repeat that for people. Tell your story that you experienced. That's true. That's true. Don't make up stats that aren't true. Tell your story. And Alan, for people that would like to know more about you and your services, they can find you on the website, strataoriginals.com. And on that website, you have a gift for them. What is that gift?
It is called a personal branding worksheet. And you can put that in the show notes. And in the worksheet, it's 2.5 pages of thinking through you. You know, what is your credibility? What are you known for? All those questions that we would ask you as part of our Brand DNA session. But it's something you can do that is self-paced. Get yourself to a place where you're at least starting. So I think that'd be the best way to think about it. And if you need more, then, you know, we can always spend 30 minutes with you as freebie to kind of go over it and help you. And remember, our target audience is executives and founders and CEOs. That's who we support and we understand, but we're here to help. That's why the worksheet can go to anybody, and hopefully it's helpful. And just go to my YouTube and follow my content, go to my LinkedIn, and you'll learn a lot. Hopefully you'll learn a lot, and that helps, because it's a journey, right? It's a journey. It's not formulaic. So you are different. So the worksheet will help you get started. The website, my LinkedIn, Alan McClaren, is another place to reach me. And just say that you saw me on the podcast and you want to connect, and I'm happy to connect with you.
And you can find those links in the description below. Alan, as we prepare to wrap up, imagine you're sitting down with a business leader, perhaps a CEO, founder, and you're having wine in the coffee shop, and they say, what is this personal branding stuff and why should I care? What 1, 2, or 3 things would you say to them?
Well, here's the starting point. You already have a personal brand, whether you like it or not. So you have one. Are you leveraging it as an asset? The answer is no. Then fine. It's like IT security. Nothing happens. That's good. Well, in this case, nothing will happen and you won't know it. So if you want to look for opportunities that are out there, you need to be out there. There was an old saying, and I can never remember the gentleman who said it, but in the old days it was get out there and let stuff hit you. Now you have a digital way to get out there and let stuff hit you. And that means opportunities to partner with others, new suppliers, new customers, new prospects, new employees, all those new things that are out there. When you are out there, you're now in a place. So I think for CEOs, if you don't want to do it, then you won't know that it didn't work because you didn't do it. But when you do it, it's a journey to find that balance of success. And it is out there. So that's what I would do to them. It's, what do you do with an asset in your business? You leverage it. You have an asset called a personal brand. You're not leveraging it. Shame on you. I would be that direct. I go, shame on you. You're not leveraging the best asset that you have, which is you, to help others and to help your business.
Valuable advice. That is direct. I do like direct, Alan. My guest today is Alan McClaren, reminding you that tell your personal story so people can get to spend time with you. If you like what you heard, tell your friends and post your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because that helps more listeners find us. Come back every week for more practical insights to help you deliver your intended message. I'm your host, George Torok.